welcome back to the Evening Podcast. This is Alicia, and I am almost speechless, but I can't be because this is a conversation that we're having here. But I am really excited because I have someone that is near and dear to my heart here on the podcast today, and it's Q Smith. I mean, y'all will hear as we talk through this. Q and I have known each other forever, I feel like. At one point, we were roommates, and we met by way of performing. So she is a Broadway performer. She's a mom. She's a wife. I'm pretty sure you're doing other things as well, and she'll share that with us. But I am just beyond honored that you're here on the podcast with us. And she's here just to talk to us about like what it looks like to be um all these things that she is, and still navigating her dreams as a performer. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. I am just elated. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Leash, for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm really, really excited. So, listen, y'all, like I said, Q and I were roommates at one point. This is during these times of just trying to figure out life, literally just trying to figure out life and just trying to like navigate where we were going in our actual careers. And that was like, what was it? The early 2000s? I don't even know when that was, right?
Yes. It was like 2002, something like that. Long 20 years ago. Something.
Right. Please, let's not. Here's the thing. When I hear that, it just doesn't register to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't believe it's been like that much time has passed my life because I still feel like I'm in my 20s. That's a whole other
Yeah.
story. That's something I just need to work through on my own. But like, so y'all know we have history. And so all that to say, I have seen Q like grow and evolve into this amazing person. She's always been amazing. Like that's not even a question. But in terms of just being this amazing mom, being, a phenomenal performer, an amazing wife, all these things, friend, daughter, everything. And it's just been so just encouraging to see you on this journey as a performer. So as I circle back into this, how did you get into performing? Like, what was the thing? Who was the person? Like, what like put you in that place to say, this is where I'm supposed to be?
Yes. I am from Omaha, Nebraska. And yes, Black people live in Nebraska. I know that's normally most of the time people are like, Black people say, you're the first Black person I ever met from Nebraska. Or they'll say they let you out. Um And then white people will be like, I've never met anyone from Nebraska. So it's a rarity, but there's a lot of us. But my
Right.
mom, I come from a creative family. My mom and my grandmother, they wrote plays and stuff for like the church and the community. And I was in all the plays and I thought it was fun, but I didn't think you could make a career out of it. I had no idea what Broadway was. And then I got
Mm,
into high school and the drama and the choir, like show choir and stuff, and started using my voice. I didn't really think I had a good voice until probably like junior year in high school. And
mm.
I was gonna be an archaeologist or a teacher.
Wow.
And my teacher was like, you have something really special. You should think about going to college and studying musical theater. I was like, there's a such thing as that? And he was like, yes. So I saw, in that sense, I started really late because most people start when they're really young and they know what they want
Mhm.
to do and they know all the musicals, but I didn't really know. And so I started studying more and I auditioned for all of these schools, but none of them accepted me. I didn't get accepted anywhere. But needless to say, I started in church basically. And then
Right.
meet kids in high school that were doing what I wanted to do. They were really inspiring. I remember they gave me the soundtrack to Les Mis. I was like, "Oh, what songs are
Mm.
you guys? This is awesome." And they're like, "You've never heard of Les Mis?" I was like, "What is that?" Well, have you never heard of Miss Saigon? I was like, "No, what is that? Phantom of the Opera?" Oh. And they gave me all these soundtracks, and I would just listen and stuff. I'm like, "Oh, this is amazing." So I remember Les Mis coming through my hometown, and I begged
Mm.
my parents to go see it, and they didn't know anything about it, anything about musical theater, and they're like, "Okay." And I had a very, very supportive system and my parents, and they took me, and that changed my life. I was like, "This is what I want to do. This is exactly what I want to do." I don't even know what this whole story was about. I just remember how it made me feel, and it ended up being my Broadway debut.
That
And
Go ahead.
2006, yep, my Broadway debut, and it was a dream come true. I cried every day walking tour every day, signing in. I was like, "Your dreams still true." Every day, every day for a whole year. It was balling.
That
But yes,
is beautiful.
That's how I started.
I love that. And I love the fact that it was Les Mis because honestly, Les Mis was actually one of the gateways for me as well. That music, I mean, if y'all have never actually listened to the music of Les Miserables, it is just, it's just overwhelming. And even the story. So it's just like, wow. And to be like that introductory into something like this that would like ignite that type of passion, it makes total sense. Like it makes total sense.
Yeah,
Wow.
changed
And
my
then
life.
like when did you do Les Mis? 'Cause I didn't even know that was your debut.
Not too long after, it was 2006, the first revival.
Mm.
So we had moved out. We got our own places. I was like touring the whole bunch. I think probably around 2000. No, no, I'm so sorry. So I did not do Blading in 2006. I did Fame in 2006. That was my New York debut, was Fame.
Right.
And I did Les Mis in 2008 or something like that.
Okay.
It was a long time ago.
But that makes sense that I wouldn't know because I had moved back to Indiana, so that makes total sense.
Mhm.
Because I was like, when did that happen? But now that makes sense. That is
Yeah.
awesome. That
Yeah.
is awesome. So I know some people maybe are thinking this, and I'm thinking this because I haven't worked on Broadway. So for that first experience of working on Broadway, did it feel any different than any other theater that you worked in? Not you know what I'm saying? Like, was it something different about that, or was it kind of like similar to like the traditional, or not even traditional, but like any other theater that you worked in, whether it be regional or whatever?
Well, because I had toured a lot, um,
Hmm.
with like professional people and people who have been on Broadway. Once the rehearsal process started for Les Mis, it felt pretty normal at that point. But it was the
Right.
excitement and the jubilation and the fear. It was on a whole different level. But the rehearsal itself was very similar to what I had experienced. It was a very
Hmm.
short. We only had 4 weeks because this was the first revival of Les Mis because it closed like a year or two prior, and so they decided to reopen it. And yeah, so it was a short process. And my debut, I was a swing, and so I remember going on the night after opening night, and I had never had a rehearsal.
Mm.
And it's a story that I could tell forever. I just love it. And but I was taking notes. And most of my career up until that point had been a swing or an understudy. So I was used to learning things really quickly, and my brain kind of functioned in that way. And
Hmm.
so when I found out I was going on with no rehearsal, I was like, I'm game. I'm boom. And I
Right.
did. And I did not miss the beach. I was like, I'm here, Broadway. I'm here to stay. So
I love it.
it was awesome. I'll never ever forget it. The run of the show, it felt, yeah, it was like nothing I've ever experienced, really. I know I had toured before, but just being your favorite, it was a special experience. It was my favorite show of all time, my Broadway debut on top of it. And so I took every opportunity to make it special, from even though I wasn't on every night, I was still on every night. You know what I mean? I was ready.
Right.
Um, and sometimes I would do two tracks at one time. She's
Wow.
out and she okay, so she this costume, okay, she's this it was crazy. I covered 8 tracks and
Wow.
yeah, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
That is beautiful. Like seriously, because and I wanted to also go back because maybe some people who are listening to the podcast probably like, what's a swing or what, whatever that is. So basically what Q was just saying, like she covered for different actual characters in the show, which is like fun. It's amazing to me that people have that capability to have like you said, right then and there, okay, now you have to go on for this person and just be ready to do that. Like that takes a really special talent to do something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like because for the average person that might be kind of jarring. So like, yeah, I love to hear that when people are able to just kind of like step into it and just say, "Hey, yes, I'm here, I'm game." So I love to hear that. Seriously.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's for real. So I remember seeing you in Mary Poppins on Broadway. I
Oh,
came
yes, you
back.
did.
Yes, we
Yes, you
came.
did. You
Um,
did. And worse, your daughter was with you.
yes, my daughter was with me. She was like, "Oh my gosh, how old was she?" She was like maybe
Yeah,
6 or 7. And I
remember.
remember us coming to the show, and I was saying to Amaris, because when we were, I said, a friend of mine is in the show, whatever. And she was like, when she saw you, she was like, Mommy, she looks like you. I was like, I guess
Yes.
so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But she was like, what? Like, she was just so, like, just in awe that, like, to see that representation on stage, like, that really meant a lot to her. And all that to say, like, have you found yourself hearing other people of color, even just Black kids or whoever, just saying that to you, like, thank you for being that person for me, because I've never seen that, like, on stage or whatever.
Yeah. You know, yes. And it is something else because I knew that getting that role, I fought for that role, by the way. It was
Oh,
not just
really?
handed,
Okay.
not just handed to me. So I started Mary Poppins, the tour, in
Hmm.
2009. And so I was Mrs. Corey, who is traditionally a Black woman, a person of color. She sings
Hmm.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And and it was fun. It was great. And but I remember going to before we started rehearsals in New York, they gave us all a pair of tickets to go see the show, so we know what it looks like. And I
Hmm.
had never seen it. I never grew up with Mary Poppins. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of it. I knew some songs from it from my childhood,
Right.
but I never saw the movie per se. It wasn't something that I was raised with, like a lot of people. So I didn't have that. But I remember I was sitting in the audience with my best friend, Lawrence, who is now my husband. And we were sitting there, and he nudges me when this one particular character comes out. Even though I was playing Mrs. Corey, that was
Hmm.
fun. And she comes out, she does her thing. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. Then this other character comes out, and this character actress, the role was Miss Andrews, and Andrew. And he nudges me and he's like, I could see you playing that part. I was like, oh my God, have me a dream. I'll never play that. That's exactly I'll never. Because
Right.
when I was looking at it, it was an older white woman. And I was like, and I was sort of researched. I'm like, did anybody do that in London? Play the role in London? And
Mm.
at that point I had also seen the movie. And I was like, there's no Black people in these roles. I was like, I'll
Right.
never play that. So tour began, and my roommate at the time, she was playing the bird woman, the person who sings
Mhm.
"Feed the birds, tuppence, about tuppence," and she got pregnant and she left the show. And I was like, can I understudy that part? And before she left the show, I was asking to understudy the part, and they're like, all right, sure. No audition really required or anything. I was like, okay. I started understudying it, and then the role of Miss Anne, I would sing it backstage a lot, like she would be doing it, and I would just sing it for fun, like that. I'll never get to do it, but I'll sing it. And I would just sing it to myself and just dream about it. And I knew the role was going to become available soon because I think she had another contract or something. So I was like, is it possible to just understudy it just for fun? And they were like, come in and sing it for us.
Mm.
And I was like, it was a little pushback. And I was like, okay. So I did. And I surprised myself. I didn't sing it the way that it's traditionally sung, and I sang it the way that what made sense to me. And
Mhm.
I was surprised. And I think they were surprised too. So I started understudying it, but I never went on.
Mm.
And finally, the role became available. And I was like, I would love to get I know it's not been done by it's traditionally done by this type of person, and I would love to get my hands in that. And they were
Right.
like, well, we got to go to New York and audition like everybody else. So they flew me back from tour. I had to audition. I was the only brown person in my group. And I was like, and everybody looked the same except me. These older white women, very character actresses, amazing,
Right.
amazing, talented women.
Right.
And then there was me, and I was like, then I really goes in me. And so
Right.
I went in there and did my thing, and I ended up booking it on tour.
Wow.
And I was like,
Mhm.
this is kind of cool. This is kind of cool. So what they did, I was the guinea pig. I was the first one to play Miss Andrew and the Bird Woman, the same person playing both roles. They had never done
Mm,
it, but they wanted to. But since I understudied the Bird Woman at one time and now I'm playing Miss Andrew, they're like, let's combine the tracks. They can save money that way too. I don't have to pay two
right,
separate actors. I can play. And so
right.
it was a dream. It's like my favorite worlds combined. And I was able to do that. And then one day, Cameron McIntosh, I did not know he was there. We were on
Hmm.
tour. He came to a sound check, and I guess he was there. And he's the producer. Cameron McIntosh is this huge, producer. Mary Poppins, Les
Right.
Mis, Phantom of the Opera, Miss Saigon. And I know I'm talking a lot. Cut all of this stuff.
You're
And,
good. You're
yeah.
totally good.
And I guess he saw my sound check or whatever. I'm not really sure how it all went down. And so he asked me to come to Broadway, close the Broadway productions, Miss Andrew. And
Right.
so, but I knew that I was making a change. I knew I was making a significant change. And I knew that little brown girls would see it and want to do it. And sometimes on Instagram, I'll get little messages like, I'm playing Miss Andrew. Thank you so much. And, or whatever it is. And it just warms my heart.
I
Yeah.
love
So
that.
that
And I love
was a
that.
journey.
You said what?
Was a journey.
Listen, and I think a lot of times that journey then allows you to see like, oh my gosh, like not only did I endure that, but I am exactly where I didn't even think I would be. Like this dream actually came true. Because like you said, you were just telling Lawrence, like, I will never like it's a dream. But at the same time, like I love the fact that you just kept singing the songs and just really keeping yourself like in that space of like, okay, I don't even know if this is possible, but I'm going to like embody this actual
Yes.
character in some way, even if I don't actually present it on stage for an audience to see. I'm embodying it for myself. I love that cue. That's amazing. Seriously.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you. No one
seriously.
really knows the whole story. There's very few people that know the entire story, but that's the
Right.
story. Hmm.
Wow. I love that. No, seriously. Love it. And the thing is, you know, sometimes we get into situations where we're just like, oh my gosh, you see all these other things that are happening around the situation, but it's like this is a part of my journey and
Yeah.
it's beautiful. And you, for me, I feel like you celebrate where your journey takes you and not allow the external things to like hinder you from keep moving forward, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, yes. And God, it all comes down to you, the universe, God, whatever you believe, that there's something
Hmm.
bigger working on your life is already mapped out. You know what I mean? It really is. We
Hmm.
don't see it, but it is. And so when things happen, you just kind of have to, instead of like fighting it and trying to think, you're just wearing yourself out because there is an order to things. There is a path. And I did not know before that my life would include Disney's Mary Poppins or Les Mis. I had no idea these amazing opportunities would present themselves, but God knew. And I just so grateful. And I don't even know what's next, but I'm excited about it because it's all been good. It's been hard, but it's worth it. You know what I mean? And all the hardest stuff sort of helps you grow and
Right.
get you to that.
Yeah. And I think that's thank you for bringing that up because I think a lot of times people see like performers, Broadway, film and TV, whatever, and they don't understand the journey behind that. And so there's always like this instant kind of like, oh, she just kind of fell into that. And it's just like it's a lot more that went into that blood, sweat, tears, prayers, all the things. It looked pretty, like once it's up on the stage, but the work behind it, trust me, there's a
Yes.
lot that goes into that. So thank you for like kind of like bringing that into play as well, because it's not, yes, being a performer and doing all those things, it is that showmanship. It is a beautiful thing to see it and experience it and feel it. But know that the people that are up there doing that, it took a lot of work for them to get there and to even, get on that stage each and every night and be on in a way that you are entertained. So it's not easy.
Preach, preach, preach. Yes, girl.
It is not easy. And so this is another thing before we keep going, because I want to talk about a few other things, but your actual journey for and actually being cast in Come From Away. Please share that with me because I got to see you in that as well, which was amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, please share with us that whole process and like you there was it felt like everything just kind of like blew up in like such an amazing way for you in that particular production. I was just like so proud. Like yeah, take it away.
You've always been so supportive. You've always been so supportive. We don't see each other every day. We don't see each other every year. But I know
Right.
I'm gonna get the same message. I know I'm gonna see you at the stage door. I know I'm gonna see you on Instagram doing something or wish somebody well or saying something positive. I just want to say that you are always. I know I got a friend in you, Leash. I got a friend,
Aw,
and I know we ain't. You know, it's all good. We don't have to talk to each other for 5 years, but if I see you, we gonna hug each other like it was yesterday. And
exactly.
you've always been so supportive, and I will always hold you dear to my heart. So thank you for always being there.
Oh, you're welcome. And I feel the same way. You have no idea. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So for Come From Away, I get emotional. Yes. So, girl, the funny thing is about hard times. I was unemployed for a little while, and I needed a job. I just finished Mary Poppins, like a year prior or so, and I have been out of work for some months.
Mhm.
And I just moved into this new apartment, and I really needed a gig. And I was like, I need to pay for this rent. I don't know how I'm gonna pay for this rent. And I was like, okay. And I got this audition for Aladdin. And I was like, oh
Mhm.
my God, this is it. I just did a Disney show. They're gonna cast me. It was a replacement for someone. And I was like, oh, about this easy. We're the same type, she's a little taller. And time goes on, I get called back, I get called back again, and I'm like, this is it. And I was, when I say broke, like Bow Bass Productions, I was, okay, okay, okay.
Honey, I'm laughing because I know oh too well.
I was like, yeah, I did a Broadway show, and it paid the rent for a long time, and now I need another job. People are like, oh, you did a Broadway show, you must be balling, and I'm like, not really. It's theater, it's not movie TV.
Right.
And but I saved and I did what I could, and the time was up. Now I needed another job. So
Right.
I was like, this has got to be it. I gotta book it, and I didn't book it, and I was like, what? I mean, it was one of those like slap in the faces. Like I just thought I was gonna get it, and I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm definitely gonna get it. I was Mary Poppins, like they know me. I'm perfect for this role. And truth of the matter is, too, I was short, and they kept saying, "How tall are you?" Because they needed you to fit in the costumes of the person that just
Right.
left. We needed you to be, I think, 5'6" or 5'5" and up. I'm 5'2". I'm barely 5'2", but I kept saying, they're like, "How tall are you again, Q?" I'd be like, "I'm 5'3" in heels." I would say that all the time. I'm 5'3" in heels, and they would giggle. And they asked me about 5 times, and they would sing it loud. "How tall are you again, Q?" And I'm like, 5'3" in heels. And it didn't work. I went to someone that I knew, and it blessed her as her Broadway debut. But I was really disappointed. But God knows, God
Mm.
blocked it. God knows. I was
Mm-hmm.
sitting here crying. I get a call, literally like 2 days later, from the Arkansas Rep Theater, a regional theater in Arkansas, and they wanted me to play Miss Andrew and Mary Poppins out there. I was like, I didn't really want to tour, but I needed a job, and I was like, and I didn't have to
Right.
audition. I was like, okay. So I went, and Corey was there. Me and Corey did it together.
Oh,
Yeah.
core.
And about 2 weeks into it, we are in tech rehearsal, and my agent calls. It's like, hey, there's a show about 9/11. They're looking for one more person, and I feel like I'm always the last person to be cast. That happened in Les Mis too. They were looking for one more
Mm-hmm.
sweat. They were looking for one more
Right.
character. And I was like, well, can I do it? And video auditions wasn't quite popular. So the quality of the videos and the backdrops, that was non-existent back then.
Right.
And and so I was like, and I said, no. I said, I'm not going to audition for now. I was there 9/11. I remember it. I don't think. And he called back the next day. He's like, I think they want to see you. And I think you
Mm.
should reconsider because it's getting a lot of buzz. And I was like, where is it playing? And he was like, La Jolla Playhouse. And I said, La
Oh,
Jolla? I've never worked there. And I've always wanted to work at La Jolla because, La Jolla is the theater that houses new shows that potentially comes to Broadway. Like The Wiz
right.
was there, Rent was there, Jersey Boys was there, all these shows. And I had never auditioned for La Jolla, and I've always wanted to. And I was like, who's doing it? And he said, La Jolla. And I said, yep, I will audition. It must be something special. I didn't read the script,
Right.
read the sides. I auditioned for all these different roles. I was like, what is this show about, really? And they kept
Mm,
giving me feedback over the phone. And I didn't audition in person. It was me. I think I was the only one that had a tape audition. Everybody else was able to do it in person. And I got cast through the tapes. And my
wow.
first rehearsal, my first day of reading the script was the first day of rehearsal. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This is a golden. And I ran up to the
Wow.
director, like, and I've never met you. Thank you for hiring me. We never worked together. And when I put myself
Right.
on tape, he wasn't there. It wasn't like a video audition. It was just me on the tape. And Corey was we would go in the studio like at midnight after tech rehearsal. He'd be there. He was my reader and he was my video man. And he was there.
Oh,
And we booked that show. And I ran to the director and I was like, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You didn't even, and
wow.
he was like, oh, I've seen your work or whatever. And I was like, yeah. And so that's how that happened. And the rest is history. We toured for we did the show for about 2.5 years, different places, trying to
Hmm.
fix it. And then people, being let go or they would hire new people. And I was for sure I was going to be let go because I thought I was too young to play the role and they couldn't find the right costume for me and age me. And I thought I was going to be let go. I really did. And
Mm,
um, so by the time we got to Toronto, we knew we were going to Broadway, right? Toronto was
wow.
the last stop before we came to Broadway. And I get a call after the show, Q Smith, please come to the office. And I was like, this is it. They're going to let me go
Oh
before
gosh.
Broadway. This is it. And I went up there and I was literally shaking in my pants. And everybody was there. The producers were there. The writers were there. Everybody was there. And I was like, and I knew they were going to let me go. They said, can you have a seat? I said, yeah. And the writer sat down on the piano and he said, we met with Hannah today, or Hannah last week. Hannah's the person that I played. And he's like, we were inspired to write a song. We want you to hear it. I was like, huh? It was so opposite of what, and the song was
Right.
beautiful. Because then Hannah never had a song until we came to Broadway. So for the 2 years,
No.
yeah, nobody had a solo except the pilot. She was the only one that had the solo. And then they thought Hannah should have her story. So they wrote a song for Hannah. And we recorded the cast album 2 days later. And the song is on the cast album. And I thought they were firing me, but they're actually giving Hannah a song. I will never forget that. I cried so hard. Not because the song was just beautiful, but because I was relieved they weren't firing me. Um, and that is the truth. I was heaving. It's so beautiful. Oh my god, they didn't fire. I was heaving. Heaving. Do you hear me? True story. And they don't know
I
that. They still don't know to this day that I thought they were going to fire him. I'll have to tell them one day. But I honestly thought this was it. So I packed my bags and head on back.
That is wild. I had no idea. Well, one, I had no idea that, there was only one person really like kind of like focused in terms of like the singing. Because when you see the show, you get to see that there's, more characters are showcased in that way. So that is so interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah, they met with her and was inspired to write a song to sort of round out her story because her story is
Hmm.
truly like the New York story. You know what I mean? It took place here, and everybody else's stories sort of, surround New York and Newfoundland and Texas and England, and but hers is really the true like New York story. It's then Bob too. Rodney Hicks played Bob. Um,
Hmm.
Story as well. But they wanted to give her a song, and I was so grateful. And yeah, that's how it happened.
That is so cool. And it's so funny because when I went to see the show, I thought there would be more for those of you guys are probably like if you don't know Come From Away, you might be like, what are y'all talking about? So this actual Broadway production, the way I thought of it, I thought it was more of us talking about like the Twin Towers. That's how much of it I didn't know. And then when I
Mm-hmm.
saw the show, I was like, oh, this is a whole different, you know, situation that took place during that time. But it was in Newfoundland, right?
Yeah. No.
It was just so interesting to me because I was like, it's so wild how so many different places in the world were impacted at during 9/11, and those stories are now being shared. Well, not now because it was a while when that show came out, but it was still so interesting and intriguing to me because we were so focused, especially here in New York. At least I was. Everything was about New York and maybe the stuff that was happening in DC and Pennsylvania, but that was like the tri-state area. That's all I really like thought about or knew about rather. So that is so interesting. And then like how did this actual story come about to even be shared with like and be a Broadway show at all?
Right. And that's a good question. Yeah, I didn't even know where Gander, Newfoundland. I didn't know what any. I was like, "What is this?" When I was auditioning, I was like,
Right.
"What is a Newfoundland dialect?" I had no idea where it was. I didn't know anything about what happened in Newfoundland on 9/11.
Right.
And it's fascinating. Two things: the airport there, the town is made up of what, 7,500 people at the time. Maybe
Hmm.
it was 9,000. It was a small population, but it was built. The airport was built during World War II, and the landing strip was at that time the country's largest landing strip, because it was built during World War II, and planes could not fly for long distances like they can now. So they would stop
Hmm.
there, fuel up, and then fly over to Germany or whatever they are, to wherever they were going to fight in the war. So it was the longest landing strip for a long time.
Mm.
And it was also built for emergency situations, but they had never had to use it for emergency situations until 9/11. And they were just about to
Wow.
turn the airport down. They're about to not use it anymore because no emergencies were going on. They're going to shut the airport down, and the mayor kept saying, no, let's just keep it open. Let's just keep it open. And they kept it open, thank God, because
Right.
these planes landed there from all over the world. And for those viewers out there, you can see it on Apple Plus TV. We did a film version of it. You
Oh,
can
I
see it on
love
Apple
it.
TV. And you can also look at the documentary on YouTube. It's like a 35-minute documentary. And you see Hannah, and you'll see the real people and the stories. Just type in like Tom Brokaw, Newfoundland document 9/11, and it'll pop up. Um,
Okay.
so the writers, though, they were young. I think they were just out of college, and they're a couple. And the producer of the show, they're all Canadian, and so they all knew about the story more than we did here in the States. But every year, or is it every 10 years or every year, the people who were on those planes, the plane people, they go
Hmm.
back to Newfoundland, they go back to Gander and have a reunion.
Mm.
And the producer went to these two students and said, "Hey, I think," because they've been writing, they had some writing experiences and some hits and stuff, and he's like, "I think you guys will be the ones to do this." And they went to the
Mm.
reunion, and they did hundreds of interviews and compiled all of these people into 12 acts with one stage. And that's
Wow.
how it became it's called Come From Away, because when you're there visiting, they don't call you a tourist. They say, "Oh, you're a come from away," meaning you've come from far away. So, "Oh, you're a come from away now, yeah." So it's a terrible accent. I'm rusty, but yeah. So that's how it all came to be.
That is amazing. And let me tell y'all, listen, I was randomly at home one day. I'm just like home early, one morning, And I'm looking at Good Morning America. Like, I never watch Good Morning America. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not my thing. And then I see Q on TV, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? I am like going through it. I was like, that is Q. Like, going through all the motions. I was so happy. You would have thought Q was my child the way I was going through it. I was like, oh my God, my friend is on TV.
So there you go. You always support. You are always there, Leash. Always supportive.
It
Yes.
was just unbelievable. I was like, "Oh my gosh, how beautiful." Like, how beautiful.
Experience. I mean, golly, dancing up there with the Rockettes and winning the Tony for Best Direction. Every time I think about it, I just want to bust out into tears. This little brown, round girl from Omaha, Nebraska,
Mm,
on those dreams coming to life in front of her eyes. It's like a pop-up book. It's like a kid's favorite pop-up book. You know, when you open
mhm.
it, all the characters and the buildings and they all pop up and they come to life. That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like most of the time. I'm just like, even living in New York, I'm like, I live here. I live here. This is amazing to me. Like I get amazed by the smallest things. You know, I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. So it doesn't take a lot for me to be excited, and I'm excited about life.
I love
Yeah.
that. And, you know, I feel like I think just in general, most people, but I do feel like your life is just has been divinely ordered, and you exude that just in the ways that you just being just you. And I that's one thing I love about you, Hugh, is like with just about everything I know about you and how you just kind of like walk through life. It's all through just like gratitude and grace. It's just so beautiful. So for me to you, I would just say thank you for allowing me to see that because it is just so inspiring every time I'm just around you, you know?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's
Seriously.
interesting too because when you had your daughter, I never saw her as a baby, but when she was older and stuff, I would see her and I would just ask Corey and Tyrek a million questions. I'm like, how is she doing? Is she okay? Like how is and they're like, no, she's doing that. She is raising that baby. You and I would think about you all the time because it's hard out here for a parent.
Yeah.
And you need to be in your interviewing your own self, girl. And just the stuff, just the stories they would tell me, and no drama or anything like that, but just how hard you work for her to succeed, you know, and
Hmm.
you wanted to stay here in New York, and you wanted her to have a good education, you know. And I was like, golly, it's so inspiring. I'll be like, "How's Leash? Is she all right? She doing? She's good." And I what she is now. Look, she junior, and look,
Listen,
I'm
it's insane. It's insane. And then on the flip side for you, like being a performer and juggling all the things with your career and being a mom, right? How has that been since little Caleb has been in the world? Like, how has that been for you? Like, juggling that life of being a mom and still pursuing your dreams?
Mhm. You know, we just got off of a Zoom call, and somebody asked that question. You know, it's like my son was over here; he had to pee pee so bad. I'm trying to have this professional meeting, and I was like, "Yo, this is just real life. My son has got to go
Yeah.
to the bathroom." You just it has stripped me down being a mom. You know, especially when you first have that child, it's just like, man, breastfeeding, and you have no shame. There, you can't hide anything. Everything is out there. You're vulnerable. You're raw, literally, and it
Hmm.
just really strips you. Motherhood really strips you down. And then once you sort of build yourself back up, you're like, I'm like, there's nothing. I feel like there's nothing I can't do. Being a mother, I feel invincible. If I get a no on a callback or a no or a gig, I'm like, fine. It used to break me down. Now I'm like, I got other. It's fine. I'm really okay. It has strengthened me to a point where I just feel like I feel so much stronger, more
Hmm.
confident in myself as a performer, even though I still get a lot of no's after doing 3 Broadway shows. You still get a lot of no's, and but I'm okay with that. But yeah, it's hard navigating in New York. I never actually thought I would have a kid in New York. I always wanted a child. I always wanted multiple children, but I wasn't really dating. It's hard to date in New York. It's like I
Yes.
didn't really date. And then I was like, well, I'll probably adopt and move back home or something like that, And then my best friend is like, actually, what you doing tomorrow night? And I'm like, why are you looking at me like that all of a sudden? Kind of thing. It was later in our careers. It was later in our like years later in our friendship where we started feeling each other, and I was like, okay, this having kids is a possibility. And we talked about
Mm,
it. Do you want kids in New York or? He's like, no, only. I'm not moving anywhere. This is it. Maybe LA. And so
right.
we got married, and we are navigating this literally day to day. Both of us keeping it real. Both of us are unemployed at the moment,
Mm,
But that's just what it is as artists. Sometimes we have gigs, sometimes we
right.
don't. But with the kid, it's a different story because he's in a private school too. And I'm like, now we need
Right.
some because this is now I have a car. The
Hmm.
last couple of years, you don't really need a car in New York City. So now you got bills, you got insurance, you got it's mouth to feed,
Listen.
and it's different. So on the real tip, I was like, I went by this hotel today, the Wilderness View Hotel, and I was like, I need a job. And the thing is, I know it's
Right.
not going to be forever, but I need
Right.
something right now. And so I
Right.
was like, I'm not ashamed. Some people are like, oh, no, I'm just performing, but ah, look, I told you everything strips you down as a mom, and I'm like, I need to work, and I'll sing again,
Right.
and I'll do it again, but right now, sister, we need to support our family, and so
Right.
the question is, how do you navigate motherhood and life and performing? This is how you do it. You just keep it real. You keep it
Hmm.
real when you can. You get the job when you need to get that job, and my husband is awesome. I have a great support system. He's awesome. I had a gig a couple of weeks ago. He's like, I got it. So go do it. And so I did it.
Oh,
You have a good support system too. You do.
I do. I do.
Good.
And
Good.
it's just thank you so much for just being so candid and honest. Like you said, as you start experiencing certain things in life, like you said, motherhood and marriage. Listen, that for me, both of those things really opened my eyes to true, especially if I want to do it in a way that is as genuine and as fulfilling for everybody involved as possible. I have to let my ego just kind of like fall to the wayside. Like, if we're all going to be in this together, whether it be my partner, whether it be my daughter, and us just really creating a strong foundation, I can't allow myself to, like hinder whatever is happening in our actual little world, right? And like you said, sometimes you have to go out there and be like, look, I need to make this happen. I need money, I need whatever. Listen, hand up, honey. I am there each and every day because it's like you said, the bills do not stop, right? They do not stop. And but even beyond that, it's like I know at the end of the day, I'm going to be okay because I will, it's going to work out. And like I said before, I feel like your actual journey has been divinely just like ordered. If there's anyone I ever like think about like and like oh my gosh I wonder like if they're gonna make it, no, like I feel like like you guys, you have a solid foundation as a couple, as parents, all that, so it's just like I would not even doubt it, in terms of like how you guys are making it, because for those who don't know, all three of us, so Lawrence, her husband, Q, and myself, we all are born around the same time, right? And we have celebrated each other's birthdays, even though sometimes we forget the days. But
Every
like
year.
every year, just about, we're kind of like happy birthday, and either I'm saying it's actually the next day, or she's saying that, or if I hit up Lauren, she's like, "Thank you, but it's in a few days." I'm like, still whatever. But all that to say, it's like these are good people, like just good, grounded people that are going to make things work for the greater good of whatever they're doing. And so it's just so beautiful to know that you are still like just pushing through and doing all the things to make motherhood to work, to make your marriage work. Like it's just amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it takes a village. We have a good support system, community in our building. So, me and Lawrence were on this call and we asked one of the neighbors to come play with Caleb, if we can, just it takes a village. It takes support. There's a lot of prayer that goes into raising a kid in New York and a lot of prayer that goes into just pursuing this career. It's like, am I supposed to be? I've never questioned it though. I've never questioned if I
Mm.
was supposed to be doing it. I just, it's not, it's like when you look in the mirror, you're like, am I black today? Yeah, I'm black today. Like, duh. I feel like I'm supposed, whether I'm doing Broadway or not, like I'm supposed to be in this industry. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it's just a matter of what am I doing at the moment? Like what would I like to be doing versus what do I need to be doing?
Hmm.
I'm supposed to be here for sure.
I, I love that. And I feel like when you know that's what you're supposed to be doing, it keeps you alive, if that makes sense. Like you just
Mhm.
feel like everything is worth living, despite if I'm on Broadway or wherever, if I'm, in transition, I still feel like I'm in the game, whatever that looks like. And I think that for that, and for people who might be in that position of like, I wish I could, be in that space. It's just, taking that chance and just saying, hey, I'm going to do this. And it's not always going to be the highs, even in the lows. I'm giving, good to even just be pursuing it. So just keep pushing forward. I think that's one of the biggest things in this whole process. I don't know if you feel
Mhm.
that way, but I really feel like that's half the battle.
Yes, you are absolutely right. And just it's the mindset. I tell students all the time, it's it's really not about how talented you are. This is
Mm,
definitely a factor. Definitely. It's really about your mindset and like, can you really get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to warm up and get to that audition to sign up in the non-equity line and wait and not be
mm,
seen? Wait till 5 o'clock. Can you really do you have that in you, right? We've all done it in the cold, right? In the it's out golly. We've done it. It's just a part of it. And
right,
voice is half of the talent is half of it. And the
right.
rest is a mindset. So yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh, Q. First of all, thank you again, because I know you are busy doing all the things, but this was beautiful. And I can't wait to see what you do next. I'll be somewhere probably embarrassing you, screaming like, "That's my friend!"
Yes, I love it. Yes. Yes.
Oh gosh. So thank you so much again. I will share Q's information in the show notes. Anything you want to leave us with, I would love it. Take it away.
All right. Well, you know, I just hope that everyone who's listening to this just chooses joy. Just
Mm,
choose joy no matter what the situation, the circumstance, no matter if you get the call back, no matter if you're under the weather or going through something. You make choices every day. But if you choose
mm,
joy, I mean, it can really turn your day around, your life around, really.
right.
So I just hope that I hope they listen to you because you are pure joy, you're pure sunshine.
Thank you.
And that's it, really. That's it.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Q. This was beyond amazing. Like this really touched me. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And y'all, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Eat Me podcast. I will see y'all next week. Thank you so much. This was awesome.